There are some games out there that can encapsulate you with emotion and pull at your heartstrings whilst demonstrating the importance of mental health. A couple of games that come to mind straight away are Fractured Minds and What Remains of Edith Finch. But alongside those is an amazing game that feels more like an experience rather than an actual game. That of course is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. The reason why I say it feels more like an experience is that this game excels at utilising the human senses. The best way to play this game is with headphones, and I'll explain why. The character you play as is Senua, who suffers from a form of psychosis which causes her to hear voices in her head. And if I'm honest, it becomes quite daunting having those voices constantly taunting you and speaking about you as if you wasn't even there.
You know that death is near, waiting for you to make that little slip.
It kind of makes you more attached to Senua as a character, as it gives you a fraction of a taste of what it must be like to suffer from her affliction. Now I can't really speak on behalf of someone who actually suffers from psychosis because I don't. So I don't want to say that it perfectly simulates what it must be like to have psychosis, but what I will say is that it's an uncomfortable experience nonetheless. But also in a game design point of view, the voices are used to gauge where enemies are, as they warn you of incoming attacks. If you hear a voice yell at you from your left ear, then you know that you're about to get attacked by the enemy on your left. The same goes for your right. To be fair, I thought this was a really interesting feature, and Hellblade does this kind of thing quite a bit as the game goes along. I'm not going to show anything after the first 2 hours of the game as to avoid spoilers, but I do want to bring up a level that utilises sound perfectly. It involves you having to traverse through the dark and avoid several unknown creatures only using your sense of hearing. In my opinion, it was equally the most unique and terrifying level I've ever played in a game. If there's one thing I think can rival the game's great use of audio, it's its impressive character design for its enemies. But not only the way that they look, but how their bodies react to damage. The more you hit an enemy, the more injured they will appear. You'll know you've inflicted a lot of damage on an enemy when they show wear and tear in the form of sword cuts on their body. It's a detail that Ninja Theory didn't have to put in the game, but the fact that they did shows how much attention to detail they're willing to put into this project. If I was going to talk about any of the negatives, I'll say that it's a shame that you can't skip any of the cutscenes. This was only a problem for me when I was doing my second playthrough to find all the collectibles. Some of the cutscenes can be quite long, and having them unskippable can make any additional playthrough a bit of a pain. The other negative is that I wasn't a huge fan of the combat. I felt like it's a little bit too simplified in the sense that each fight has the same answer to it: dodge out the way, hit, and then repeat. Sometimes you have to utilise your power of slowing down time, but I feel like it doesn't make that much of a difference when it comes to approaching a fight. I will admit that even though I didn't like the combat, I do think it lends itself well to the narrative of Senua not being this strong warrior that you would normally play as in games. She's just a normal girl, she's not Dragonborn, she's not a Witcher, she's just a girl who's fighting her own demons manifested into the gods that she believes fight her. When it comes to the trophy list, it's really simple. All it asks from you is to finish the game and to interact with all the lore stones. I missed a couple on my first playthrough because the game glitched me through a wall and teleported me to a boss arena, which meant I missed a big portion of a level, leaving me to do a second playthrough. I kept a guide on hand just in case, but if you're exploring properly then you should be able to find them all. Overall, I think the game is really solid. I want to urge anyone who hasn't played it to play it. It is quite heavy on its topics, but it's an interesting experience for sure. I do want to say as well, for any Xbox players who may be watching, the sequel to this game is going to be an exclusive to Xbox and I think PC as well, so when the sequel does get released I strongly hope you go out and buy it and support the developers. As far as the Platinum Trophy goes, it's easy, it's simple, and I'll say it's worth getting. I want to take a quick moment here at the end of the video to say to you, the viewer, that if you're struggling, be it with anxiety, depression, just know you're not alone. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your GP if you need to. COVID isn't making anyone's lives any easier right now, and it's important that you look after you. And also check on your friends once in a while and see how they're doing. And with that, I'm going to end the video here. Look after yourselves and see you in the next one.